Hey guys, so in this video we're going to discuss the new baller vehicle that Epic added in patch 8.10. I want to start doing more discussions of the current meta in Fortnite and giving you guys a rundown on hot topics in the community. I think it'd be a cool addition to the channel on top of my other educational and more improvement type videos. I feel like there's kind of an empty space on YouTube and people covering what's the current meta in Fortnite regarding gameplay and what's overpowered and stuff like that, so I definitely want to try to branch out into that. And of course, what better way to start than with the most hotly debated topic in the game right now, the Hamster Balls. If I interchange their names at any point in the video, I'm sorry because they're technically named Ballers, but most people, including myself, refer to them as Hamster Balls. You've probably seen them and use them in game by now, as they're pretty much everywhere on the map and are actually surprisingly fun to use. After planes were removed at the start of Season 8, Epic needed a new vehicle to help players rotate, but they didn't really want the same complaints that came with planes. The complaints with planes were that they did too much damage, they were able to destroy builds, which was unfair, and they were really hard to destroy single-handedly. The Baller is different than planes, but it also draws a lot of similarities. The Baller, like planes, is found at expedition outposts and around the big pirate camp loot stashes. It has a grappler attached to it and a boost ability, so you can grapple onto things and then boost yourself forward. When you're inside the Baller, you're protected from damage, but opponents can still shoot at it and destroy it, as it has a total of 300 health. If you actually hit into an enemy, it does around 15 damage or so, and if you boost into their builds, it will damage and destroy them as well. Even as a soccer skin tryhard myself, the Ballers are actually pretty fun to use. Rotations are quick, so you can grapple ahead and gain speed using the boosts or momentum. You can also go off geysers or swing around trees or even just dangle from a cliff like in a ball sack. So if you aren't aware of the controversy surrounding the balls already, you're probably a little confused by the title. How could anyone in their right mind think that these stupid hamster balls are OP? In normal public matches, they're perfectly balanced and fine, but this is what the endgames of competitive matches now look like. Hamster balls have become worse than planes were back in skirmishes and competitive games from Season 7, where everyone would just fly around and pretend to shoot at each other. Because of a bunch of different factors which I will get into in a second, ballers have become the meta in competitive Fortnite and has led the entire pro community to go to Twitter to tweet out their frustrations. Most pro players and competitive players just want the hamster balls either removed completely or heavily nerfed to the point where they're kind of just worse than shopping carts. This has caused an equal and opposite reaction from the casual Fortnite community, who is having fun using the hamster balls and knows that in the past Epic has removed or nerfed certain vehicles and items because of backlash from the competitive community. Now, I want to stay unbiased so I can present both sides of the argument, and then we can hopefully have some productive discussions in the comments regarding your opinions and what you guys think. So let's start with the competitive community. If you follow any pro players on Twitter, your feed has probably been flooded with tweets about how much they hate and they can't stand the hamster balls. To competitive players, hamster balls are the new planes, but not in the sense that you can destroy people by ramming into them, even though you technically can, it just doesn't do as much damage as quickly, and not in the sense that you can shoot people with them because, again, hamster balls don't have turrets attached to them. But hamster balls are basically free rotations and are kind of an instant access to endgame by doing literally nothing. If you have a hamster ball, you can just sit in a tree, hang onto a mountain, or honestly even just sit and bounce around in the open, as most people do now. It's gotten even worse recently, as most players in hamster balls just boost into builds and create absolute havoc. They're immune to damage themselves, so until the hamster ball gets destroyed, they can just boost around into builds, get free rotations, and basically do whatever the hell they want. There are 3 ways currently to counter them, or actually 4 after the latest patch. First, you can shoot the balls. You can boogie bomb the balls, which actually works better than you would expect, because once you boogie bomb someone inside it, they're forced to come out. Then you can either shoot them, or like most people do in scrims, just steal their ball. And then the last way to counter them is to box one up and trap them, because the traps destroy the balls and do the normal 150 damage they do to the person inside. As of the last patch, they added impulse grenades back in the game, and you could use those to hit the hamster balls back into the storm, but even then they can just boost back in. Unfortunately, when you have good players inside the hamster balls, it's hard to pull off any of these counters on them. Shooting them seems like the easiest solution, but in scrims, players are limited by ammo. If you've never played a high point pop-up game or a tourney match or scrim, in these games you kind of just land, you loot up, and then very rarely will you ever fight. Everyone's goal is just to live long enough to get placement points, which is now top 15. So the last thing you want to do is get into a fight and risk dying or losing out on those juicy placement points. This means though that you're limited to the total of 80 AR ammo you find off spawn. Usually in public matches, if you get 4 or 5 kills, you'll have like 200 or 300 AR ammo, and you don't have to worry about wasting a few clips to spray someone in a ball. That's only because you're constantly fighting people and taking their leftover loot. This doesn't happen in scrims though, and everyone's limited on ammo. So players don't want to waste stasis ammo, and they also don't want to peek because the 10 seconds or so it would take to light up the hamster ball, there's a good chance you just get sniped in the face. The boogie bomb method actually works pretty well to steal hamster balls and to kill people in them, but that means you have to carry boogie bombs into late game and scrims, which is not really a good idea unless you literally can't find anything that's better like dynamite or stinks or heals. Lastly, the trap method can work, but it's hard because of how mobile and hard to catch the hamster balls are. The other arguments I saw countering why competitive players hate hamster balls were that if there's so many available, then just get one yourself. Wildcat tweeted that it could be some sort of early game incentive to get one, plus you don't actually win games when you're in the hamster ball. Even if you make it to the last 30 players alive in the game, you still have to get out and win the rest of the game yourself. But in reality, that's what makes them so unfair and uncompetitive in nature. The players who have hamster balls will be able to get out with max mats, ammo, and health, which just puts them at a huge advantage compared to the players who didn't have hamster balls and who had to use their mats, their health, their ammo, and utility to get to that point. This is also after they cause absolute havoc by hitting into your builds and destroying everything around them. If you fight for hamster balls, you either 50-50 people for them off spawn, which as of patch 8.11, they only spawn 50% of the time, so you don't even know if they're going to be there or not. And if you fight for them mid-game, that means you'll have to shoot at them to get them out, which, if that happens, you'll just end up shooting the hamster ball and destroying it, which again leaves you in the same place without balls. Oh, and one last thing I wanted to say was that while we debate and argue how overpowered they are, hamster balls are actually extremely broken and glitchy. If you get out of one while it has forward momentum, it will actually run you over and kill you. The hamster ball that you've been hearing so many good things about that is a free ticket to late game, yeah, it can kill you whenever it wants to. So, as we just discussed, the hamster balls kind of don't have any reasonable counters in competitive, and they're a free trip to late game, so I think you guys can now kind of see why the competitive community is so upset. The other side of this argument is the casual community, who is equally upset because of the complaining done by the competitive community. To them, they know the baller can get vaulted or nerfed because of this outcry, and to them, the baller is just really fun. Honestly, even a lot of the competitive community knows the baller is fun. It's a refreshing new item that doesn't really do damage and is enjoyable to use. So to casual players, they see the competitive community as crybabies. For some reason, Poach has become like the poster boy for complaining pro players. Anytime I go into the Fortnite BR Reddit, I see someone complaining about Poach complaining. Anyways, back to the topic at hand, are the hamster balls overpowered? The real problem with hamster balls to me is that Epic has the same loot pools across competitive modes like the gauntlet tourneys and normal public matches. This leads into another big debate and discussion I talked to a little bit about in my last video, about people playing the game casually versus people trying to win and sweating. There's nothing wrong with doing either of those, and to everyone who says one is right and the other is wrong, that's just not true. Obviously, it's frustrating to get dumped on by TTV Poonslayer 420 with 15 kills when you only have 2 career wins, but that's just unfortunately the nature of the game right now because there's no dedicated ranked mode. The gauntlet mode is okay, but if you go into any solo game, you'll probably think you're in a ranked mode with how good everyone is now. Hamster balls just divide the two sides even more because the competitive side really hates them in their games, while the casual side loves them. If Epic decides to keep going forward with having the same loot and overall game settings in both casual and competitive matches, then this will only make the two sides hate each other even more. If Epic vaults the hamster ball, then it looks as if they're siding with competitive players, but if they leave it in the game and don't nerf it at all, it looks like they're just catering to casual players, which is the majority of the player base. I think that it's actually pretty easy to please both sides here. Just make separate ranked and normal modes with different loot pools. Normal modes can have everything that's fun and been removed from the competitive scene's outcry. For all I care, they can literally add back planes to the normal modes, but just make the ranked a 24/7 playlist with only core guns and balance. No stupid stuff like balloons or great infantry rifles or hamster balls that just seem to ruin the competitive integrity of the game. And I know a lot of you guys are laughing to yourselves hearing that because, let's be honest, even with $100 million in prizes for 2019, Fortnite esports is a complete joke. Every major tournament so far has had a huge meta change where Epic added something new and game breaking. It's clear that these tournaments are basically marketing schemes used to show off the new latest and greatest item or vehicle that Epic added in hopes of bringing in more players. But this is where we're currently at with the hamster balls right now. In patch 8.11, which was released yesterday when this video will go up, Epic reduced the spawn of ballers to 50%, which just makes them more RNG. That just makes it worse because now it is a toss-up if you find a hamster ball at their spawn location. However, Epic did unvault impulse grenades and increase knockback strength on explosives, so that can kind of be a new counter to the hamster balls. I don't think it'll really help though because, again, hamster balls you can just boost and grapple back into zone. It's clear that Epic has a pretty easy decision to make, but it's unclear if they'll ever do it and separate ranked and casual games. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of the hamster balls and what you think Epic should do regarding them. Also, let me know what you think of the ballers. Have you gotten any wins with them? Has it gotten you any kills? Did you even realize how strong it was? And lastly, just let me know if you guys want more videos covering the meta and balance discussions within the game like this. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. This video shoutouts go to Sarpy, Core Clan EU, aka Roldy, T7, Foundacious, Skivs, Facepalm, Call Me Jalen, God, John, Mavthick, and Clips, who all use my code in the item shop. If I forget to shout you out, please remind me, especially on Instagram if you send it to me there. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.